Hello, Internet. It is I, the Malik Aaron, and welcome back to Box Office Predictions. Today, we're going to be talking about If. So, as usual, we're going to be going over the pros and cons. So, let's get to it. Pros. So, If. This is being made by one John Krasinski, Jim from The Office, as I imagine most of you would refer to him as. So John Krasinski, for the longest time, he was Jim on The Office, a show that I've never seen. I know I just pissed off quite a bit of you saying that, but I've seen memes and I've seen clips of the show, so I'm not completely in the dark. I'm just mostly in the dark, okay? But yeah, for a while, he was mainly known for that, and the fact that this man could have been Captain America in the MCU. Yeah, some of you may not know that. I know when it comes to the MCU, he was basically fan cast as Mr. Fantastic, and they put that in Doctor Strange too. But in some alternate reality, we could have had this man be Captain America instead of Chris Evans. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine Jim from The Office being Captain America? Can you see it? Because I can't. I I can't at all. So I'm kind of glad that didn't happen. But then in 2018, something interesting happened. John Krasinski decided, you know what? I should make a horror movie. And that horror movie ended up being A Quiet Place. And expectations for it were, well, initially people were just like, John Krasinski? Him? Making a horror movie? That's kind of weird. Because the dude's mostly known for like comedy, in The Office. Kind of like what Jordan Peele, when he was making Get Out, people were just like, Jordan Peele from Key and Peele, that guy? Like making a horror movie, that just it sounds really weird. It is, but just like Jordan Peele, John Krasinski proved everybody wrong. He proved all the doubters wrong, and he made a banger movie in the form of A Quiet Place, and it was a huge hit. Made 188 million domestically, over 300 million worldwide. So successful, they made a sequel, Quiet Place Part 2. And despite that movie releasing when it did, we're dealing with like COVID and like movie theaters like trying to come back. It was one of the first movies to really like get people back to the theater in a somewhat substantial way. And sure, it did worse than the first movie, but considering the circumstances, it's amazing it made this much at all, honestly. And it was still a success. Like it was far from a flop. And now he's making not A Quiet Place 3, but If. So yeah, so far John Krasinski, his track record at the box office, at least recent with the Quiet Place movies, it's been pretty stellar. So I gotta label that as a pro, obviously. So that's pro number one. Pro number two, the cast for this movie is kind of insane, to say the least. Um, well, we got like our live action actors. You got Ryan Reynolds, Mr. Deadpool himself, and we all know who Ryan Reynolds is. Everyone knows who he is, but I might as well just go through his track record. His first like main movie people know him from is Van Wilder. It's from 2002. He was in Harold and Kumar. Oh, I honestly didn't know that. Oh, I forgot about it. Then Blade Trinity, he didn't exactly have the greatest time with it. He didn't have the greatest time dealing with Wesley Snipes' shenanigans. But that was like his first Marvel movie. That was his first, you know, his first step into superheroes. And it definitely wouldn't be his last. I'll tell you that. And then he did the Amityville Horror, which I heard wasn't all that good. And just a bunch of like meh movies. And the X-Men Origins Wolverine. Ooh, that is an important one for all the wrong reasons. Because he was Deadpool in name only. He wasn't the character. No, they turned Deadpool into this dude with his mouth sewn shut, because yeah, that's what the fans wanted to see. A Deadpool that doesn't talk. You know, that you took the one defining trait of Deadpool, his mouth, Merc with a mouth, took that away, and you gave him laser eyes and teleportation and swords in his hands. Fucking dumb. Absolutely asinine decision. And it just, ugh. This is something I wish I could forget, but I never will. I know it's something Ryan wishes he would forget, but like it was important later on for his career. That and the Green Lantern, unfortunately. But I mean, there was the proposal that was a huge hit, but Green Lantern, oof, don't even get me started on that. I mean, Ryan Reynolds, he can go all day how much he hated that movie, and it was just a bad movie, just bad everything, and it was a huge disaster. And then to change up, nobody even remembers that movie. Safe House, that was a hit, although I feel like that was more due to Denzel Washington than Ryan. The Cruise, that was a voiceover. Turbo, same thing, voiceover. R.I.P.D. Disaster. Absolute shit show. It's a movie no one remembers at all. So, what, Woman in Gold, Selfless, I know damn well no one remembers that. But then Deadpool, movie that resulted from X-Men Origins Wolverine, because Ryan Reynolds, he he wanted to do Deadpool right. He wanted to do Deadpool justice. The studio was real hesitant about it. They're like, oh no. So Ryan took matters into his own hands, and he leaked intentionally test footage, specifically on Comic Con week during Comic Con weekend in 2014. Got a lot of attention, a lot of buzz, a lot of hype, and made people want a Deadpool movie to exist. And Fox were like, you know what? If the people want it, there's clear demand for this. Maybe we should just make it. You know, let's just do it. And they did it, and it came out in 2016. One of the biggest hits of that year. Made 363 million domestically. It demolished all previous X-Men movies domestically. It made over 780 million worldwide. I believe at the time it was the biggest R-rated movie ever. Before that was overtaken by Joker worldwide. But yeah, Deadpool, that changed Ryan's career completely. It definitely changed it for the better, at least financially, because then his track record became less spotty, a lot less spotty. The Hitman's Bodyguard, that was a hit. Life, that no one really cared about that one. Deadpool 2 did good, not about the same as the first. Yeah, Pokemon Detective Pikachu, where he voiced Pikachu, that was a big part of the advertising. That was a hit. Hobbs and Shaw, I'm not going to count that really. I think that was more of an uh, what's the term for that? I guess extended cameo or whatever. The Him as Wife's Bodyguard, I didn't do too well. The Free Guy was one of the big surprise hits of 2021. That did pretty darn good. Some of these are like Netflix movies, so I'm not gonna mention them. Although I will mention Red Notice. I will mention that mainly because now I know that Ryan had to deal with Dwayne Johnson's bullshit during it, and he actually got into a confrontation with him because The Rock was like very late on set. I don't know all the details, but boy, it does not paint Rock in a good light at all. Not in the slightest. And now we're here with If, and later this summer we'll grant to see Ryan again as Deadpool in Deadpool and Wolverine, which I'm very, very, very excited about. But yeah, Ryan Reynolds, he's the main live action actor here. I know John Krasinski, he's in it too, as like the girl. I don't even know the characters' names. Bay, B. I don't know how you pronounce that. As like the main character's dad, and he voices the Marshmallow Man. but mainly it's just like a voice cast. It's a massive voice cast. Look at this list of names. Lots of big noteworthy names. I mean, it's this list. It's so weird. It's like a bunch of people that I like and I don't like at the same time. It's strange. Yeah, Phoebe Waller-Bridge. I know people don't like her, especially what happened with the last Indiana Jones movie. Louis Gossett Jr. Who was that? I might need to refresh. Okay, there we go. I need to refresh. Oh, he died this year. Well, shit. I did not know that. R.I.P. Who else? Yeah, Steve Carell, who's blue, even though the character is like purple or violet, whatever you want to call it. So it's weird calling that character blue. That character, hell, it looks like Grimace. You cannot tell me it doesn't look like Grimace. I mean, the big purple. To me, it looks like Grimace's cousin or something. Yeah, Amy Schumer. I know everyone loves her. Oh God. Ew. Let's move on. Yeah, Keegan Michael Key, Emily Blunt, Sam Rockwell, Maya Rudolph, George Clooney, Blake Lively. Let's see. Richard Jenkins, Bradley Cooper, Matthew Ruiz, Matt Damon, Sebastian Malazalio, Scalio. I cannot pronounce that last name. I'm sorry. Christopher Milani, Aquafina, John Stewart. So yeah, big ass cast here. There's a loaded cast for all doing like voices for all these like imaginary characters. And I gotta label that as a pro because that's such a massive cast. It's ridiculous, and they definitely use that in advertising. And I always say, like, sure, a lot of these actors, like, their track records, like, by themselves may not be the greatest, but if you group them all together, it makes for a very appealing package. So I'm gonna label that as a pro. Just the massive cast this movie has. Another pro is the fact that Paramount, they've been pushing this movie decently enough, because I mean they spent $110 million on it, so they're not. This isn't exactly a cheap movie. So they've been like pushing it, trying to make it like a big thing, and I respect that. It's better than just dumping it out there and just hoping for the best. Well, they're actually like putting in like some effort into this. So yeah, I gotta label that as a pro. Trying to think of some other pros. I guess the fact that we have not had like a family movie in the marketplace since Kung Fu Panda 4. It's been that long. That was way back in March, early March at that. So it's been over 2 months. I imagine families, the parents, they just want their kids out the house. They just want their kids to do something, so you can watch this. I mean, it's very much like it'd be perfect. So, yeah. The fact that there's been like no family movies at all, no major ones at least, in like over 2 months, gotta label that as a pro. Another pro, I guess, is by default, this is the biggest movie of the weekend. Everything else, like, the biggest movie besides this is Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, because Fall Guy, that fell flat on its face. And everything else is just like old and or dead or just DOA. So yeah, so there's no serious movies coming out right now. Okay, right now. That'll change real soon, but right now things are okay. So when it comes to competition, so that's a pro. Um, any other pros? I can't think of anything else. So I'm gonna go with cons. Okay, so reviews for this movie are not ideal. I mean, they're not awful, but they're not good. It is the definition of mid. Has a 50% perfectly in the middle, where it's a movie that it's not terrible, but it's not that good either. It's just average, like hella average. But its audience score is quite a bit better. It's an 85%, which is fine, I guess. Could be a bit higher, but the cinema score is an A, so I feel like this might be more of an audience favorite than a critic's favorite, and that might help it a little bit. But yeah, the 50%, I can't. That is 50%. That is not a selling point, so you gotta label that as a con. Another con is that I don't know. Like I saw the trailer for this movie, and it rubbed me the wrong way because like I don't know if it was just bad editing or whatnot, but it just the movie. Like, I don't know how to describe it. This movie it kind of made me cringe, like really hard, like with like the jokes they put in the trailer. Like it wasn't it wasn't pleasant to watch. It's the type of stuff that just turns me off from seeing a movie. I think it's part of the reason why I don't know. I forgot what movie it was. Shazam. Like the first Shazam, like that movie, it tried like too hard in its advertising in a way that just it just came off as cringe worthy to me, and it was a turn off for me. And I didn't really feel like watching it. Although Shazam, and I did watch it later on down the line, and it was pretty good. But the advertising just turned me off. And for If, it's the same thing. The advertising, it's trying like too hard to be funny, and that's just painful. I hate that. So yeah, cringeworthy trailers and advertising. Don't label that as a con. Definitely for me personally. I don't know about anyone else. I imagine some of you probably cringed at some of the jokes in the If trailer. I imagine you did. So that's a con. Another con is that next week, I mean, sure you got Furiosa, it can survive that, but you got the Garfield movie, another family movie coming out 1 week after this. Now, historically, when you put two movies of the same genre in close proximity towards each other, the results are never good. Because what happens is both movies eat into each other's audience, eat into each other's profits, and as a result, neither of them thrives. It's a lose-lose situation. And like usually it's better to have like two movies of like opposite genres go head to head because there's less risk of cannibalization. I mean that's the reason why last year Barbie and Oppenheimer, two very very different movies, but they were able to coexist with each other because they were different. But this isn't that. Like the Garfield movie, I imagine that's going to do some damage to If, and for If that's not good. Like, I don't even need to say obviously. That's just what's going to happen. So dealing with Garfield 1 week later, that's a huge con, big old con. And it doesn't help that in like June we're gonna have Inside Out 2, and that at that point that's just gonna be the death blow for If. So dealing with Garfield next week is an enormous con. I firmly believe that. I'm trying to think of some other cons. I guess the fact that it's an original movie, a big original movie, like an expensive original movie, that's a risk. That's a gamble. Like you were rolling the dice with that. Because usually it'd be wise to, you know, not spend too much, to control your spending with an original movie because you don't know how big it's going to be. You don't know how if it's going to pop off. You have no idea. There are no guarantees. Like you're just going to have to like wait and see how it does. You can't just predict it'll be successful. Like, because sometimes you think a movie's going to be successful and then it just bombs horribly. Or sometimes you think a movie, oh, people aren't interested in that. And then it does crazy. Like, you never know. But for If, like, a movie this expensive, like, it kind of needs to do really well. And uh, yeah, I feel like Paramount may have made a bit of a mistake with this one, but at least the budget wasn't too crazy. At least it wasn't like 200 million, like they just went fucking insane with the budget. At least they didn't do that. But still, like this being an expensive original movie, I'm gonna label that as a con because of the risk associated with it. And it's not even something like say, I mean, I guess there was Oppenheimer last year, but the thing is that's a Christopher Nolan movie. Like Christopher Nolan is his own brand, and plus it had a much better, much better, more significant release date, like that, like mid late July spot. That is like a big time spot for movies. Like mid May is all right sometimes, but sometimes it's just not. So it very much depends. Trying to think of some other cons. Well, I guess I can mention its Thursday previews 1.75. That sounds really bad, but keep in mind Thursday was a school night, and obviously this means like kids aren't going to be going to the theater Thursday night. They usually only do that when summer really like kicks in, like in June and July. That's when family movies really pop off at the box office, especially midweek. But the kids are still in school, so obviously the Thursday numbers are going to be a lot more muted as a result. So so I'm gonna have to give the preview numbers a bit of a pass, but they still don't look that great. So I don't know. I guess that's a actually I think Kung Fu Panda 4. I mean, I know this is a live action movie, that's an animated movie, not the same, but it's still a family movie at the end of the day. It's still going after the same audience. Yeah, Kung Fu Panda 4. How did that do Thursday previews? I think it did way better. Yeah, it did do way better than this. But by how much? What was this Thursday previews? 3.8 and open with 57. Okay. Uh ugh. Like, so we do the math. This is like slightly less than half. If open slightly less than half Kung Fu Pandas, that means there's a chance it could open less than 30 million. That would be terrible. That's on the level of Fall Guy, and that's not where you want to be when you're spending like over 100 million. Well, you do not want to hit that low. But obviously, Kung Fu Panda, that's a brand that like it does like four movies deep plus several shows. If is that's just like a that's if it's just by itself. Like it's not a franchise flick. I imagine not Warner Brothers. God, Paramount wants it to be a franchise. Will that happen? Probably not. But yeah, this is Thursday previews. They're weak, but they're weak for justifiable reasons, like reasons that make sense. So I'm not gonna. That's more of a minor con. I'm not gonna call it a con, like a full on con. It's just minor con. And I think that's it. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's it. So opening weekend, I don't know. I don't have like usually I would have like numbers about like how it's doing over the weekend, but I'm not. I don't have like early Friday numbers. So I'm just gonna make a wild guess. For the sake of the box office, I really hope this overperforms a little bit because summer hasn't been the greatest so far. I know we're only like a few weeks in, but man, Fall Guy doing it as bad as it did, it really just brought summer down like quite a few notches, and now you have to like okay, it, like ideally, you want summer to start strong. That way, you don't have to like you know have the box office like try to like climb out of a hole. Like you don't want to start in a hole, okay? But this year it just happens to start in a big ass hole. And so you need like as many movies as possible doing well to, really build momentum. And so I'm hoping If overperforms a bit, but I don't know. I don't think I see it. I'm gonna go with 30 million. I'm gonna say 30 million. And final total, I could see this like taking a beating next weekend thanks to Garfield, at least a little bit. Uh, I don't know about his legs. 90 million. Let's go with 90 million total. And yeah, that's it. So we got one more movie to discuss. That's The Strangers Chapter 1, so stay tuned for that. And yeah, that's it. That's all. Make sure to subscribe, like this video, leave a comment, turn on notifications, share the whole drill. Want to check out more videos like this? I got playlists on the homepage, all previous prediction videos I made this year. You want to watch any of those? Any of the ones I've done this year or the past few years, you can go right ahead. There's also box office prediction. No, the canceled series, where I go over all the movies that were supposed to come out but didn't. I covered If twice. The first time was episode 141. Okay. I talked about alongside A Quiet Place Day One and Tiger's Apprentice, a movie that literally just was just dumped on Paramount Plus. But A Quiet Place Day One, I will say that looks good. I'm hoping it's good. That's one of the few movies this summer I actually really want to see. Um, so yeah, that was the first time. The second time was episode 207. No, 207. 211. My bad. Looked at the wrong thing in the description. So episode 211, I talked about it alongside Mission Impossible 8, Quiet Place Day 1 again, and the new SpongeBob movie, which I believe has a title now. I don't know if it's official. I haven't really heard. That's well, I gotta like scroll to 2025. I don't feel like doing that. But the next SpongeBob movie, let's just say that. Talked about alongside all those. So you want to watch those two cancel episodes or any other ones I've done on the channel? I'm now done 247. I'm 3 away from ending the series, so keep that in mind. But if you want to watch any of the cancel episodes, you want to binge them all from beginning to now, I highly encourage you to do that. So go do it. There's also box office recaps where I go over the box office results for any particular month. I just did my April recap a couple days ago. May recap won't be until like June 7th through June 14th. So it's between the 7th and the 14th of June. That's when I plan on making it. So stay tuned for that. But if you want to watch any of the past recap videos I made on the channel, you can go right ahead. And yeah, that's it. That's all. I am out. Goodbye.